Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something huge. We've got this massive stack of sources, really the best thinking out there on personal finance right now.
Yeah, and we're going to distill it all down.
Exactly. Create a really actionable blueprint for your life, because our mission, it's pretty critical. Achieving real, tangible financial stability in 2025. And this deep dive, look, it isn't about teaching you to live on, ramen noodles forever.
No, definitely not.
It's about setting up the systems, the habits that you stop just kind of surviving financially.
And start actually thriving, building some security.
Thriving, that's the word.
And it's needed, right? The financial climate, well, it's never felt more complex, I think.
Tell me about it.
We're all dealing with this stubborn inflation, interest rates are up, and maybe most importantly, we live in a world where spending money is just frictionless.
Oh, absolutely. Instantaneous.
Every single transaction, whether it's like a tiny in-app purchase or a big online order, it just happens. Click. Done.
Too easy.
And if you don't consciously build some friction back into your financial life, that convenience, that becomes the single biggest hidden cost you'll pay.
That's a really powerful way to put it, a hidden cost.
Yeah.
So our goal for you listening today, it's not just about giving you a checklist.
Yeah, it's deeper than that.
It's about getting that foundational understanding of why these habits actually work.
No.
How you can leverage things like automation, modern tech, to basically take the willpower out of saving.
Right. Make it easier on yourself.
We want you to feel like you're taking absolute control of your money, for real this time.
And to do that, effectively, we're going to unpack all this source material kind of holistically.
Okay.
We'll kick things off with those foundational mindset shifts. The awareness piece, the behavioral changes that you absolutely need.
Got it. The groundwork.
Then we pivot pretty sharply into the specifics. Tactical budget cuts. High impact stuff in those big spending categories we all struggle with.
Like food and transport, I imagine.
Exactly those. And then finally, we'll wrap up with strategies for the longer term, looking at growth, leveraging your skills, your earning power.
So it's a full picture.
It really is. A complete 360-degree plan for, let's call it, financial resilience in 2025.
Okay, great. So let's start where any solid financial plan has to begin, building that foundation. Awareness first. The sources we looked at, they call this the spending reality check.
A reality check, it often is.
Right. Because I think most of us, we probably have this vague sense of, where our money goes, maybe.
Heck, you do.
We think we do. But the sources, they really challenge that assumption. They argue most people are, dramatically underestimating the real picture.
Oh, they're absolutely correct on that. There's this psychological thing that happens sometimes called financial amnesia.
Financial amnesia? Okay, tell me more.
Well, we easily remember the big, maybe painful transactions, right? Paying the car insurance bill, the mortgage or rent payment, those stick in your mind.
Yeah, you feel those.
You feel those. But what we instantly forget, almost willfully, are the microtransactions. The, $4 latte on the way to work.
The quick snack grab.
The $7 sandwich because you didn't pack lunch.
Yeah.
The 3 times you grabbed a ride share this week because, it looked like rain.
Guilty as charged sometimes.
We all are. And individually, they feel tiny, insignificant almost. But they're not one big leak in your financial boat. They're like thousands of tiny pinpricks.
Bleeding you dry slowly.
Exactly. Bleeding your bank account dry without you even noticing, often.
And I guess when you actually force yourself to add up all those little pinpricks, the total reality can be, pretty shocking.
Often is, yeah.
Right.
Which is why the sources issue this, immediate non-negotiable challenge for you, the listener.
Okay, what is it?
Track every single expense for just 1 week. 7 days.
Every expense, even the pack of gum, the $1 for the parking meter.
Every single dollar, every cent, including those tiny daily costs, the quick snacks, the online impulse buys that maybe show up a few days later, everything.
Wow. Okay. That sounds intensive.
It is, but the goal here is total data immersion. It's crucial. And look, this isn't about judging yourself or feeling guilty. Not at all.
It's diagnostic.
It's pure diagnostics, like getting a financial x-ray. If you find out you're spending, say, $5 a day, 5 days a week on that quick coffee or snack.
Okay, that's $25 a week.
Right, which doesn't sound catastrophic.
Okay.
But multiply that out. That's $1,300 a year. Gone.
Okay, seeing it like that hits different. $1,300 is not insignificant.
Not at all. That's money that could be in your emergency fund or invested or paying down debt. It feels small in the moment, but over time, it represents a significant opportunity cost. This exercise, it forces you to see the actual patterns.
The interrupters.
Yeah, the interrupters, and where the bulk of your sort of subconscious spending is really happening.
You know, historically, doing this kind of tracking meant tedious spreadsheets or carrying a little notebook everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Painful.
Yeah.
And easy to forget or fudge the numbers.
Exactly. But the sources really highlight how 2025 tech has basically automated this whole painful process. We really need to be using these modern tools now.
We absolutely do. And it's worth thinking about the difference between, say, passive tracking and active budgeting.
Okay, explain that difference.
Well, tools like Mint or Rocket Money, they're fantastic for passive tracking. You link your bank accounts, your credit cards, and they automatically pull in the data, categorize it, and show you a report card, basically. Here's where your cash went.
Okay, so that's the diagnostic part again, seeing the damage after the fact.
Precisely. Then you have tools like YNAB. You need a budget. That implements something called zero-based budgeting. It's an active system.
Active how?
It forces you to assign every single dollar a job before you spend it. So when money comes in, you decide. This much for rent, this much for groceries, this much for savings, this much for that subscription. You plan the spending first.
Ah, I see. So the technical clarity here is important. Passive tracking shows you what happened. Active budgeting tries to control what will happen.
You got it. Passive tracking shows the damage. Active budgeting helps prevent it in the first place.
That distinction feels really key, diagnosis versus prevention. Okay, so let's say you do the tracking, you use an app, you get over the initial shock of seeing the real numbers. What's the core insight? What's the big takeaway from this painful but necessary awareness step?
I think the fundamental truth, the one that should really guide every financial decision moving forward, is this. Saving money genuinely begins with spending less on the things that don't actually matter to you, the things that don't align with your values.
Rather than just waiting to earn more money someday.
Exactly. Earning more is obviously great. It's a long-term goal we should all have. But controlling your spending, that's immediate. You can start that today. Most people, they try to build a budget, but they realize pretty quickly they have no idea what they're actually budgeting for. They don't know the baseline, this initial tracking step. It removes that blindness.
It gives you the facts to work with. Okay, so once we have the data, the psychological foundation is maybe starting to set. But we all know human willpower is, well, famously unreliable.
Oh, absolutely. It's finite.
Which leads us perfectly into the second big piece of this foundation section. Removing willpower from the equation as much as possible, using automation.
Yes. This is probably the smartest money habit the sources emphasize. Willpower is a deeply finite resource, right? You use it up all day long, deciding what to eat, whether to go to the gym, how to answer that difficult email from your boss.
Yeah, decision fatigue is real.
It's very real. So relying on that drained willpower at the end of the month to remember to transfer the savings, it's a recipe for failure.
You're tired, maybe stressed, maybe something unexpected came up.
Exactly. Life happens. Therefore, the sources are crystal clear on this. Automation is the smartest, most reliable money-saving habit you can build. Full stop.
So how do we actually, codify that habit? Make it real. You mentioned treating saving like a bill.
That's the mindset shift. Treat saving like it's your most important bill, because you're paying yourself first.
Okay.
The mechanism itself is actually really simple, but the psychological impact, it's profound. You set up an automatic transfer, ideally on the very day you get paid.
So it happens before you even notice the money's there.
Precisely. Or even better, see if your employer offers direct deposit splitting. Many do. You can have, say, 10% of your paycheck deposited directly into a completely separate savings account, not your main checking account.
A separate account is key then.
Absolutely key. The phrase the sources use is powerful. The money is effectively gone before you even see it in your spending account. It never hits the balance you look at daily.
I really like that psychological framing. If it's not visible in your primary checking, you can't spend it easily on discretionary stuff. You adjust your spending based on what's left.
Exactly. It removes the temptation, removes the need for active decision-making each month.
Okay, so automation is the how, but how much? How do we figure out the right amount for this automatic transfer? The sources bring up the 50-30-20 rule.
Yeah, the 50-30-20 rule is a really popular and honestly pretty useful template for thinking about your income allocation. It's a good starting point.
Can you break that down for us?
Sure. It suggests dividing your after-tax income like this. 50% goes towards your absolute needs. These are your fixed, largely non-negotiable expenses. Think housing, rent or mortgage, minimum debt payments, essential transportation, basic groceries, utilities, stuff you have to pay.
Okay, half for needs. What's next?
Then 30% is allocated for wants. This is the discretionary spending category. Dining out, entertainment, hobbies, streaming services beyond the basic, travel, clothes you don't strictly need, the fun stuff, basically.
Right. And the last 20%.
That crucial 20% minimum is earmarked for savings and debt reduction. This includes building your emergency fund, contributing to retirement accounts like a 401k or IRA, and aggressively paying down high-interest debt like credit cards or personal loans.
That 20% for savings and debt, that feels like a really solid goal. But I can already hear some listeners thinking 20%, that feels impossible right now, especially if you're dealing with a super high cost of living or maybe a lot of existing debt.
That's a really important point, and the sources acknowledge this. The 50-30-20 is a guideline, not a rigid law.
So what if 50% for needs just isn't enough? Like rent alone eats up 45% of your income in some cities.
Exactly. In those high cost of living areas, or if you have significant unavoidable costs like childcare or medical expenses, you absolutely need to adapt that ratio. Maybe it looks more like 6-0-1-0-30 for a period.
So 60% for needs.
60% just to cover the essentials. Then maybe only 10% is ruthlessly allocated to wants, really cutting back on the discretionary stuff for a while.
And the remaining 30%.
That 30% gets aggressively targeted towards either paying down that high-interest debt faster or building up that initial emergency savings cushion. The key is flexibility and prioritizing based on your specific situation.
That makes sense. Adapt the template. But what if even getting to 10% or 5% savings feels like a stretch right now?
To start there, the source material really encourages starting small. If 20% feels totally out of reach, don't let that paralyze you. Start with 5%. Heck, start with 1% if you have to.
First, start the habit.
Just start the habit.
Right.
The process of establishing the consistent action, setting up that automated transfer, no matter how small, that actually outweighs the initial dollar amount. Building the habit is the win.
Because once the habit is locked in,
scaling up from 5% to 7%, then to 10% later on when maybe you get a raise or pay off a debt, that's infinitely easier than trying to jump straight from 0 to 20% down the road. Consistency compounds.
Consistency really is the flywheel of building wealth, isn't it? Okay, so we've got the foundation laid, awareness through tracking, and automation taking willpower out of the savings equation. The next logical step then is making sure the money we do manage to save isn't just sitting there.
Right, it needs to be working for us, even while it's waiting.
Let's talk about optimizing cash. The sources point out a pretty significant problem with just using traditional savings accounts, especially in the current climate.
Yeah, the core issue is basically stagnation. And frankly, it's almost neglect on the part of traditional banks. Your typical brick and mortar bank, they have huge overhead costs, right? Physical branches everywhere, tons of staff.
Yeah, buildings aren't cheap.
Exactly. And they largely offset those costs by offering, well, atrociously low interest rates on their standard savings accounts. We're talking often hovering near like 0.1% or maybe 0.2% APY.
Wow. That's basically nothing.
It's next to nothing. And if your money is earning that little, especially with inflation being what it has been, you're actively losing purchasing power every single day. You're not really saving money in that account. You're just holding it while it slowly shrinks in value.
Okay, that's a sobering thought. So 2025 clearly presents a massive opportunity to fight back against that erosion. Where should people be moving this saved cash instead?
The answer is clear across all the sources. High-yield online savings accounts, HYSAs.
Okay, high-yield savings accounts. Why are they so much better?
It comes back to that overhead point. Because these institutions operate primarily online, their costs are minimal compared to traditional banks. They don't have thousands of branches to maintain.
Lower costs for them means?
They can pass those savings on to customers in the form of much more competitive interest rates. The sources we reviewed specifically highlight potential rates, depending on the Fed's actions, of course, but potentially up to 4% or even 5% APY.
4 or 5% versus 0.1%. That's a huge difference.
It's a monumental difference. And look, this isn't speculative crypto investing or anything risky. These are FDIC-insured savings accounts. This is essentially free, guaranteed money you're leaving on the table if your emergency fund or short-term savings goals are just sitting in a traditional account.
Let's really drive this home. Put it into perspective using that concept of compounding interest. Why is moving, say, $10,000 from a 0.1% account to a 4% HYSA? Why is that such a magical, necessary move, even if the initial dollar difference seems kind of small?
Okay, yeah. Compounding is where the real magic happens over time. It's the engine of passive wealth growth. So, take your $10,000 example. In a Bureau 1% account, after a whole year, you've earned about $10 in interest. Whoopee!
$10, barely worth mentioning.
Barely. Now move that same $10,000 to a 4% HYSA. In the first year alone, you earn $400 in interest.
Okay, $400 versus $10, that's already substantial.
But that's just year one. The real magic kicks in next.
Yeah.
The following year, you don't just earn 4% on your original $10,000. You earn 4% on $10,400.
The interest starts earning interest.
Exactly. That interest starts compounding. It builds on itself, accelerating over time.
Right.
By year 5, just letting it sit there, you've earned significantly more, thousands more, completely passively. All you did was choose a smarter parking spot for your cash.
That truly is the definition of making your money work hard for you,
Yeah.
instead of just existing.
Couldn't have said it better. It's low-hanging fruit financially.
Okay, so moving cash to high-yield accounts seems like a powerful, frankly essential tool every listener should probably look into, like, today. Now let's pivot. We've optimized the savings side. Let's talk about cultivating more conscious consumption, fighting that digital convenience monster, impulse buying.
Yes. The siren song of the buy now button.
Exactly. What's the single most critical question the sources suggest we ask ourselves before making any non-essential purchase?
It boils down to what they call the single filter rule. Before you click, before you swipe, ask yourself honestly, do I really need this right now, or am I just feeling bored or stressed or maybe a little down?
So forcing yourself to identify the underlying motive.
Precisely. Because most impulse buying, especially for stuff we don't truly need, isn't driven by genuine necessity. It's often driven by a desire for distraction, maybe a quick dopamine hit from getting something new, or even trying to regulate emotions. Retail therapy, right?
Yeah, retail therapy is definitely a thing.
And the sources strongly suggest that just establishing this one internal filter, asking that one question consistently, can easily save you thousands of dollars annually. It interrupts that unconscious habit loop.
That feels really profound, actually. We're not just fighting against buying an item, we're fighting against the temporary feeling that buying the item gives us.
You've nailed it. In the digital world, man, it makes succumbing to those feelings incredibly easy. Save payment information, one-click checkout, targeted ads popping up everywhere.
It's like the whole system is designed to bypass conscious thought.
It absolutely is. Convenience has been weaponized by retailers. One-click checkout is probably the ultimate enemy of thoughtful, intentional spending.
So knowing that, what's the counterweapon? The sources give a brilliantly simple, practical friction tip.
They do, and it's genius in its simplicity. Manually remove all your saved credit card and payment information from your go-to shopping sites. Amazon, Target, your favorite clothing store, wherever you tend to impulse buy. Just delete that saved info.
That seems almost too small, like a trivial step. Why is having to manually type in your card number so powerful against impulse buys?
Because it forces a pause, a physical interruption. When you see something online, the emotional part of your brain, the lizard brain, fires instantly. Ooh, shiny. Want it now.
Right. Instant gratification.
Exactly. But if, instead of just clicking once, you have to stop, get up, go find your physical wallet, pull out the card, manually type in all 16 digits, then find the CVV on the back.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely more effort.
That small physical journey, that little bit of hassle, it provides the necessary cognitive gap. It creates friction. That friction gives the rational part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, just enough time to catch up and ask, hang on, do I really need this? Is it worth the money? And this minor annoyance of typing everything in.
And that micro pause is often enough to deflate that urgent want it now feeling.
Very often, yes.
Yeah.
The urge dissipates surprisingly quickly sometimes.
Okay, I'm definitely trying that one. Deleting saved cards. Now, what if that initial friction isn't quite enough? The desire is still strong. The sources also recommend implementing the classic 24-hour rule.
Yes, the waiting game. The 24-hour rule is essential because it directly combats the manufactured urgency that's just endemic to modern marketing. Limited time offer, only 3 left in stock.
Yeah, fear of missing out. FOMO.
Exactly. So the rule is simple. For any non-essential purchase over a certain personal threshold, say $50 or $100, you put the item in your virtual shopping cart, and then you just walk away, close the tab, wait a full 24 hours.
And what typically happens in those 24 hours?
You force perspective. The sources note that a vast majority of the time, that item you felt you desperately needed 24 hours ago, suddenly it looks less appealing, less necessary. Maybe you realize you already own something similar that does the job just fine. Or maybe the initial emotional trigger has just passed.
The urgency was artificial.
Almost always. It's a fantastic habit for promoting conscious, deliberate consumption over just reacting emotionally to marketing triggers. Wait it out.
Okay, so we've worked on the foundational psychology, the awareness, the automation systems, and fighting impulse buys. Now we get really tactical. Section 3. Strategic cuts in those high-cost categories that statistically drain our budgets the most, usually right after housing. Let's start with a big one. Food.
Yeah, food is a massive pressure point for budgets in 2025, no doubt about it. We've all felt the pinch. Inflation has significantly hit both grocery prices and the cost of dining out or getting takeout.
It feels like everything food-related costs way more.
It pretty much does. But here's the flip side. Because the food category is generally less fixed than, say, your rent or mortgage payment, it actually offers some of the greatest immediate return on the effort you put into optimizing it.
More flexibility means more room to save.
Exactly. And our sources outline some really specific, actionable strategies here, starting with the most obvious but maybe most impactful, cooking at home more often. But elevating that simple idea through batch cooking.
Batch cooking, okay, that sounds less like just cooking dinner and more like efficiency planning. How does that significantly cut costs?
It cuts costs in a few ways, mainly through efficiency of scale and, crucially, waste reduction. Think about it. When you buy ingredients just to make one specific meal for tonight, you often end up with like half an onion left over, a few sad carrots, a bit of parsley.
Yeah, stuff that wilts in the fridge drawer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Stuff that often gets wasted.
Yeah.
But when you batch cook, say, you dedicate a couple of hours on a Sunday afternoon, you prepare larger quantities of versatile components. Maybe cook a big batch of chicken breast, roast a tray of vegetables, cook up a pot of quinoa or rice.
So you're using ingredients more fully.
You're utilizing bulk purchased staples more effectively, maximizing the use of every single ingredient you bought. And, critically, you're removing the high-cost temptation of ordering expensive delivery or eating out during a busy, tired weekday evening because you already have healthy, pre-prepped meals ready to go in the fridge.
Ah, so it fights convenience spending too.
Big time. It saves time during the week, it saves money compared to eating out, and honestly, it usually promotes healthier eating habits too. It's a triple win.
We should probably also apply that bulk concept beyond just the batch cooking ingredients, right? Thinking about non-perishables.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The sources strongly recommend buying non-perishable staples, things like flour, rice, dried beans, pasta, canned goods like tomatoes or tuna, in the largest quantities that realistically make sense for your household size and your storage space.
Because the price per unit, per ounce or pound is almost always lower in bulk.
Almost always significantly lower. But there's a crucial caveat here. Only buy in bulk if you genuinely know you will use it all before it expires or goes bad. Otherwise, it's just another form of waste.
Right. Buying a 25-pound bag of rice you never finish isn't saving money.
Exactly. It requires a slight shift in how you view your pantry stock. See it as an asset to be managed, not just a random collection of food items.
Makes sense. And just like with tracking our overall spending, technology can play a role in saving money specifically at the grocery store too, right?
It definitely can. We need to move beyond just clipping paper coupons, which is time-consuming, and often for stuff you wouldn't buy anyway.
So what's the modern approach?
We should be leveraging cashback grocery apps like Ibotta or Fetch Rewards and the digital loyalty programs offered by most major supermarkets now.
How do those work effectively?
These tools often give you targeted digital coupons or cashback offers based on your actual purchase history. Sometimes they automatically apply deals right at the register when you scan your loyalty card or app. You're basically gaining digital efficiency and personalized discounts.
And the effort involved is pretty minimal usually.
Very minimal. Maybe scanning your receipt after shopping or adding digital coupons to your card before you go. It might take 30 seconds, maybe a minute. But the cumulative discount or cashback earned over an entire year, that can easily add up to $100 or more just for groceries.
Worth the small effort then. Okay, before we move off food, let's circle back quickly to something you mentioned earlier, that silent budget killer, food waste. How big a deal is this really?
It's a huge deal, financially and environmentally. The average household, depending on the study you look at, throws away an incredible amount of perfectly good food every year. We're talking hundreds, maybe even over $1,000 worth of groceries just tossed in the bin annually.
Wow, that's literally throwing money away.
It is. So the primary strategy the sources recommend to combat this is simple but powerful. Plan your meals before you even set foot in the grocery store, or before you open the grocery app.
Meal planning first.
Yes. Create a realistic meal plan for the week ahead. Then, build your shopping list based only on the ingredients needed for those planned meals. And critically, check your fridge, freezer, and pantry first to see what you already have on hand.
So you don't buy duplicates.
Exactly. And practice the first in, first out principle in your fridge. Bring older items to the front so they get used up before they spoil. This kind of intentionality ensures that pretty much every ingredient you buy actually has a purpose and gets eaten.
Hundreds of dollars saved just from smarter food planning and avoiding waste. That's massive potential.
Okay, next big category, rethinking mobility and maintenance. Transportation costs.
Yeah.
You mentioned these are often underestimated.
They truly are insidious, yeah. People tend to just focus on the obvious costs, the monthly car payment, maybe the cost of gas.
The visible stuff.
Right, but they often forget to factor in all the other drains. Insurance premiums, annual registration fees, regular maintenance like oil changes and tire rotations, unexpected repairs when something breaks, new tires every few years, even parking costs if you live or work in a city. When you add all that up, the true cost of owning and operating that car
is often far, far higher than people budget for. It just quietly siphons money out of your account month after month.
So, what are the tactical alternatives? How can listeners reduce this significant financial drain from transportation?
Well, the most immediate and potentially largest saving comes if you have any flexibility at all with your work situation. If you can maintain remote work, or even a hybrid schedule where you only go into the office, say, 2 or 3 days a week.
That cuts commuting costs right away.
Instantly saves money on gas, obviously, but also it drastically reduces wear and tear on your vehicle. That means fewer oil changes needed, your brakes last longer, your tires last longer, plus maybe less spending on dry cleaning or specific work clothes.
Good point. What about for people in more urban settings?
For city dwellers, the sources strongly urge a perhaps painful but necessary reassessment of car ownership itself versus relying more on public transport, cycling, e-bikes, or maybe strategic carpooling or car-sharing services for occasional needs.
Because the fixed costs are so high.
The sheer cost of monthly parking and car insurance alone in many major cities can often justify selling a vehicle that you maybe only use on weekends. It's a big lifestyle change, potentially, but the savings can be enormous.
Okay, but for many people, especially outside dense urban areas, keeping a vehicle is pretty much essential. Are there still optimization plays available then, specifically regarding the car loan?
Absolutely. Refinancing your auto loan is a powerful tool, especially in a shifting interest rate environment like we might see in 2025.
How does that work?
If interest rates generally have come down since you first bought the car, or perhaps more likely, if your personal credit score has significantly improved since then.
Making you eligible for a better rate.
Exactly. You should definitely call your bank or maybe shop around with credit unions to explore refinancing that car loan. Even dropping the interest rate by just 1 or 2 percentage points can shave hundreds, potentially even thousands, off the total cost you pay over the remaining life of the loan.
Without necessarily changing your monthly payment by much, maybe just shortening the term?
Right, or maybe lowering the payments slightly. It's just smart financial engineering to check periodically. Don't just assume the rate you got initially is the best you can do now.
Good advice. And the sources also give a little micro-save tip here for car owners. Something super simple everyone should probably be doing anyway.
Yeah, it's almost embarrassingly simple, but it works. Keep your tires properly inflated. Check the pressure maybe once a month against the recommended PSI listed on your driver's side door jamb.
Why does that save money?
It does 2 key things. First, properly inflated tires wear more evenly, which means they last longer. Replacing tires is a major expense, often hundreds of dollars. Second, and maybe more immediately noticeable, properly inflated tires measurably improve your fuel efficiency. Your MPG goes up slightly.
So it costs nothing but a few minutes with an air pump.
But it saves you money directly at the gas pump, week after week, and delays a big future expense. It's just an easy win for consistency. No-brainer.
Totally. Okay, moving from physical costs like cars to the digital ones that sneak up on us, let's tackle subscription fatigue. This feels like the great hidden cost of modern convenience.
Oh, it is absolutely a universal financial killer in 2025. It starts innocently enough, right? You sign up for Netflix, okay. Then maybe Spotify for music.
Yeah.
Then a fitness app because you want to get in shape. Then some cloud storage for your photos. Then a monthly software subscription you need for work or a hobby. Maybe a niche streaming service for that one show. Or a gaming pass.
Yeah, they all seem pretty cheap individually. $10 here, 15 there.
Exactly. That's the trap. They feel cheap in isolation. Just $9.99 a month, what's the big deal? But the sources hammer this point home. The cumulative total of all those small monthly charges can easily reach $100, $200, maybe even more every single month.
Wow, just silently draining out of your account?
Silently draining your accounts, often without providing proportional value for the money spent. You might even be using half of them regularly.
Yeah, so the unawareness is the core problem again. How do we get a clear picture? How do we audit these seemingly endless subscription charges effectively?
You absolutely have to use technology to fight technology here. Use automated audit tools.
Yeah.
Apps like Rocket Money, Truebill, Trim. There are several good ones. You link your bank accounts and credit cards to them.
And they sniff out the recurring payments.
They identify all the recurring payments, including those sneaky annual charges you completely forgot you signed up for last year. Seeing the total annual cost listed out, realizing you're spending, say, $2,400 a year just on subscriptions, that's often the shock needed to spur some action.
Okay, so you get the list. Then what?
Then comes the critical evaluation phase. You have to go through that list line by line and ask honestly, am I really using this service enough to justify the monthly cost? Is it providing real value? If the answer is genuinely no, or maybe I haven't used it in months,
Cancel it.
cancel it immediately. Or at least pause it if that's an option you think you might need it later. Be ruthless. Cut the dead weight.
Okay, but what about the services that truly are essential? Like maybe your high-speed internet, certain software you need for work, maybe the one streaming service the whole family uses constantly. How do we optimize the cost of those?
Good question. For the essential subscriptions you decide to keep, the optimization strategy generally involves moving away from monthly payments whenever possible and practical.
Looking for annual deals.
Exactly. Seek out annual payment plans or sometimes family bundles if multiple people in your household use the same service. Paying annually for software or cloud storage or even some streaming services often provides a significant discount, sometimes equivalent to getting 1 or 2 months free compared to paying month to month.
So you trade a lump sum payment for lower overall cost.
Right. And for things like cloud storage or maybe music streaming, check if combining accounts onto a family plan, even if it's just with one other person, offers better long-term value than 2 individual plans. Don't keep paying that convenience premium of month-to-month billing if you know for sure you're going to need that service all year long anyway.
All right, this is great. We've built the foundational systems. We've made those strategic cuts in the big spending areas. Now, let's pivot into section 4, which is all about leveraging skills, technology, and ultimately our earning power to create more robust, long-term financial stability and resilience. Let's start with something I find really interesting, maybe the most underrated tactic: the power of DIY. Do it yourself.
Yeah, DIY is often overlooked, I think, because people perceive it as either too time-consuming or maybe too technically challenging, like, oh, I'm not handy.
Right, I'll just mess it up.
Exactly. Or it's faster to just call someone. But learning even basic home maintenance and repair skills is actually a massive money saver over the long run. It's really about fostering self-sufficiency for the small stuff.
Because calling a professional costs a lot, even for minor issues.
It costs a ton. Think about it. If you have to call a plumber for every slightly clogged drain, or an electrician to change a basic light fixture, or a handyman just to mount a new TV on the wall, those call-out fees alone often start at $100 minimum.
And can go up fast from there.
Oh yeah. They can easily skyrocket past $300 or more for issues that are actually pretty trivial and might only take a skilled person, or even just a moderately competent DIYer, maybe 15-30 minutes to fix themselves.
Okay, that's a huge amount of potential savings right there. So what kind of basic skills should the average listener focus on acquiring? We're not talking about becoming a master carpenter here, right?
No, definitely not. Focus on the common recurring home maintenance irritations. Things like learning how to properly unclog a sink or shower drain using a simple tool like an auger, not just pouring chemicals down.
Okay, what else?
Maybe learning how to patch small holes in drywall, how to safely replace a standard light fixture or a faulty light switch, fixing common minor plumbing issues like a constantly running toilet, which wastes a ton of water and money.
These sound doable with a bit of guidance. Where do people get that guidance?
The resource is incredible, readily available to literally everyone, and almost always entirely free. YouTube tutorials.
Ah, YouTube University.
Exactly. You can find clear step-by-step video instructions on how to fix almost anything around the house these days. Just search for your specific problem. By learning to handle just, say, 3 or 4 of these minor issues yourself over the course of a year, instead of calling a pro each time,
You could easily save.
You could easily save $500, $750, maybe even $1,000 or more annually. It's a return on investment, your time spent learning, that far, far outweighs the cost of the call-out fees avoided. It empowers you.
That really does empower you, fixing your own small problems instead of letting them fester or become expensive major problems down the line. Okay, next up, let's talk about being more assertive with our existing ongoing costs, negotiation, and also credit card intelligence. The sources state pretty clearly that nearly all recurring services, things like our phone plans, internet bills, insurance premiums, are actually negotiable in 2025. Why don't more people take advantage of this?
Yeah, it's surprising how often people just accept the price hikes. I think it's mostly inertia, maybe a bit of intimidation. We tend to just assume the price listed on the bill is the final non-negotiable price.
Like it's set in stone.
Right, which is rarely true, especially if you've been a loyal customer with that company for several years. They value keeping you. So the sources make a really strong case for proactive negotiation. Don't wait for them to offer you a deal. Ask for one.
So what's the action step?
Set a recurring calendar reminder, maybe once a year, around the time your contract might be renewing, or just on an annual basis, to actually call your key service providers, your home internet provider, your mobile phone company, your car insurance company. These are prime targets for potential savings.
Okay, so you make the call. How should you approach that conversation to maximize your chances of success? Just complain about the price.
No, complaining rarely works well. You need to come prepared, be polite but firm. First, do a little homework. Benchmark competitor pricing in your area for similar services. Know what a new customer might be paying.
So you have leverage.
Exactly. Second, when you call, politely explain that you've been a loyal customer, but you're reviewing your budget and you've seen lower rates offered by competitors. Like, mention a specific competitor if you know one. State that you're considering switching to save money.
And then what? Just ask for a discount.
Don't be afraid to specifically ask something like, are there any current promotional plans or loyalty discounts available that could help lower my monthly bill? Or sometimes asking to be transferred to the retention department or customer loyalty department can get you to someone empowered to offer better deals.
Because they want to keep you as a customer.
Absolutely. Companies know it costs them significantly more money to acquire a brand new customer than it does to retain an existing one, even if they have to give you a bit of a discount. They'd often much rather lower your bill by $10, $20, maybe even $30 a month than lose you entirely.
So that 15, 20-minute phone call once a year
could easily yield hundreds of dollars in annual savings just by asking politely but assertively. It's definitely worth a small-time investment.
That's a really powerful, actionable tactic. Okay, now shifting slightly, let's talk credit cards. Obviously, a huge part of modern finance. If we are going to use them, the sources stress we absolutely must use them smartly.
Yes. Credit cards should ideally be treated purely as a cash management tool for convenience and maybe some rewards, not as a way to borrow money routinely. That's where people get into trouble.
So the wisdom lies in optimizing the reward structure if you use rewards cards.
Exactly. If you're going to use a credit card, choose one, maybe a cashback card or a points card that aligns precisely with your existing natural spending habits. Don't change your spending just for the card.
What do you mean by that?
Well, if your budget analysis shows you spend the most money consistently on groceries and maybe gas, then look for a card that offers enhanced rewards, like 3% or even 5% cash back, specifically in those categories.
Tailor the card to your life, not the other way around.
Precisely. Don't get lured into getting a fancy travel card with a huge annual fee if you only travel once a year. And definitely don't start spending more money in a certain category just to try and hit some arbitrary reward threshold or bonus. That completely defeats the purpose of saving money.
Right. Because earning $50 in cash back but spending an extra $200 to get it is not smart math.
Not smart math at all. But isn't that the biggest trap with rewards cards? They psychologically incentivize you to spend more to chase those points or cash back.
Right.
What's the massive critical danger sign the sources warn about here? That is the ultimate trap. It's the seductive psychological incentive to overspend. And sources issue a crucial, like flashing red light, non-negotiable warning about this. Carrying a balance and paying interest fees will absolutely annihilate any savings or rewards you think you're earning. It happens incredibly fast.
Explain that. How bad is the interest damage?
If you are using a rewards card, maybe earning 1.5% or 2% cash back, but you're carrying a balance from month to month and paying the typical credit card interest rate, which can easily be 20%, 25%, even close to 30% APR these days.
That interest dwarfs the rewards.
It completely dwarfs them. You are instantly erasing every single penny of cash back you earned, and then you are losing significantly more money on top of that through interest charges. It makes the rewards totally irrelevant, even counterproductive.
So the absolute rule has to be:
you must pay your credit card balance in full, every single month, no exceptions. Treat it like a debit card with a rewards program attached. If you find you cannot consistently do that, if you regularly carry balance, the smartest financial move is probably to cut up the rewards card and switch to using a plain debit card or cash for your purchases until you get spending under control. The interest trap is just too dangerous.
Crystal clear. Wise use of credit. Pay it off monthly. Okay, let's look outward now, beyond our own habits to the broader digital environment. We are firmly in the age of fintech financial technology. The sources emphasize we really need to embrace the powerful tools that now reside right in our pockets.
Yeah, we absolutely do. We need to move beyond just basic, maybe manual budgeting spreadsheets or simple tracking apps from years ago. Today's best burgeoning apps are integrating some really powerful capabilities, often using machine learning or AI.
How are they smarter? What did they do differently?
They don't just look backward and track your history, although they do that well. They're becoming predictive. They can analyze your income patterns, maybe identify if it's variable. They can predict upcoming bills, even variable ones like utilities based on past usage and seasonality. They can flag potential overdrafts before they happen.
So they create more of a forward-looking financial map.
It's exactly. Less rear-view mirror, more GPS navigation for your money. This kind of technology is turning what used to be complex, time-consuming financial management into a much more automated, interactive, and, dare I say, less stressful process for the user.
That sounds appealing. And this wave of fintech innovation has also led to some pretty interesting, almost passive savings techniques, right? The set it and forget it kind of approaches.
Absolutely. Some of the more innovative savings platforms are leveraging AI or just clever automation to facilitate micro-investing or micro-saving.
Like the Roundup apps.
Exactly. Apps that automatically round up your everyday purchases to the nearest dollar. So if you spend $4.35 on a coffee, the app automatically sweeps the extra 65 cents.
And puts it somewhere useful.
Right. It sweeps that spare change into a savings account or often directly into a low-cost, diversified investment portfolio. It's turning those small, often forgotten spending remnants, the digital pocket change, into actual long-term investment capital.
So you're saving and even investing without really feeling any pinch or making an active decision.
Precisely. It taps into that automation principle again, making saving happen in the background.
And finally, on the tech front, the sources also touch on making this whole process feel less like a chore, maybe even empowering or fun.
Yeah, this is important for sustainability. We have to try and reframe saving and budgeting away from feeling restrictive or like deprivation and towards feeling like an empowering game you're winning.
How can apps help with that?
Many modern apps allow you to set very specific, visible saving goals or challenges. Maybe it's a visual progress bar towards a down payment fund, or saving for a specific trip, or an aggressive debt payoff target. Seeing that progress bar fill up can be really motivating.
Gamification of savings.
Exactly. Plus, many apps now integrate with online communities, forums, or groups focused on financial independence, the FIRE movement, or specific saving methods like YNA. When you can track your progress, maybe share your successes or struggles anonymously, it reinforces consistency, provides accountability, and can actually make the whole process feel more sustainable and, yeah, sometimes even fun.
That community aspect can be powerful. Okay, this brings us to the final and maybe the most powerful long-term strategy discussed in the sources, which is realizing that eventually the ultimate investment isn't just about cutting costs. We have to shift focus towards increasing our earning power.
This is such a crucial point for long-term security. While cutting unnecessary costs is absolutely essential, especially for achieving immediate stability and plugging those financial leaks we talked about.
There's a limit to how much you can cut.
Here's a hard ceiling, right? You can theoretically only save 100% of your expenses, and realistically much less. However, the potential upside for increasing your income, mathematically that's much, much larger. It offers the greatest potential for building significant wealth and resilience over your lifetime.
So the core action item here isn't just about optimizing spending, it's about actively investing in ourselves, in personal skills that the 2025 job market actually values.
Precisely. You need to strategically invest your time, and sometimes money, in acquiring or enhancing skills that directly boost your professional capacity, and therefore your income potential.
What kind of skills are most valuable right now, according to the sources?
In the 2025 landscape, that often means leaning into digital skills, things like advanced data analysis, maybe getting certifications in project management, or specific software suites relevant to your industry. Even understanding things like prompt engineering for AI tools is becoming valuable across many fields.
And it's not just hard technical skills, right?
No, absolutely not. Soft skills remain incredibly important, maybe even more so. Things like becoming a better negotiator, which helps not just with bills, but with salary discussions. Improving your communication and presentation skills, leadership training. These are vital for securing promotions, landing better jobs, or successfully negotiating higher compensation.
So that investment in self-improvement, whether it's a course, a certification, or just dedicated practice,
that investment arguably yields the highest possible financial return over the course of your entire career and life. Far more than optimizing your grocery bill, ultimately.
And that leads perfectly into the final statement from the sources on earning power, which really ties this whole comprehensive strategy together quite seamlessly.
Yeah, the core truth just remains undeniable. The more you earn, all else being equal, the easier saving becomes. The less painful those necessary budget cuts feel. Financial stability shifts from being this constant, stressful struggle to a much more accessible reality.
So the ultimate takeaway is?
The sources confirm it time and again. Your best, most leveraged, highest return investment is always unequivocally you. Investing in your skills, your knowledge, your earning potential. #outro.
Wow. Okay, that really brings us to the synthesis of this entire deep dive. We have covered a huge amount of ground today. We went from foundational awareness and setting up automated systems.
Right, the tracking and the auto transfers.
Then we moved through those really specific tactical cuts in big areas like food budget, transportation costs, and that subscription creep.
Getting practical with batch cooking and negotiating bills.
And we finished up by looking at leveraging smartly and ultimately focusing on boosting our long-term earning power through self-investment.
It's been comprehensive, and I think our deep dive really concludes with this powerful underlying understanding. Financial stability in 2025, it's not really defined by being cheap or overly frugal.
No, it's about intention.
It's defined by being intentional and smart. It's about consciously building and then diligently maintaining those automated systems we talked about, the high-yield savings, the automatic transfers, the digital friction against impulse buys. Doing that ensures that your hard-earned money consistently works for you.
Providing choice and options down the road.
Exactly. Providing you with choice, flexibility, and genuine optionality in your life. That's what financial stability buys you.
So for you listening, the path forward isn't about trying to tackle all 12 of these strategies tomorrow morning. That's overwhelming.
Definitely not. Don't try to boil the ocean.
The advice is clear. Start small. Pick one critical area that resonated most with you today. Maybe it is finally moving that emergency fund out of your checking account and into a high-yield savings account.
That's a great first step. Quick win.
Or maybe it's committing to tracking your spending honestly for just one single week to get that baseline reality check. Pick one thing, implement it, make it a habit.
And then build from there. Consistency is genuinely the single most powerful factor in unlocking long-term financial benefit and security. Start small, be persistent, and let those systems you set up do the heavy lifting for you over time.
Well said. And we'll leave you today with this final, maybe provocative thought to mull over. Every single dollar that you intentionally save and optimize starting today. Every dollar of friction you successfully apply to stop an unnecessary impulse purchase.
Think of it this way. Each of those dollars represents a small piece of freedom, a unit of choice that you're banking for your future self.
That saved dollar, that optimized dollar, it gives you the flexibility perhaps to weather an unexpected job loss or an economic downturn without panic. It gives you the choice maybe to pursue a passion project later on or take a lower paying but more fulfilling job.
Or simply the independence to negotiate your terms more strongly in various aspects of your life, knowing you have that cushion. That saved dollar isn't just money. It's a tool of empowerment. It's buying future you more options.
A powerful way to end. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into building smarter financial habits for a stable 2025. We genuinely hope this blueprint helps you make the coming year your most secure and maybe even prosperous one yet.
Thanks for listening.
Until next time, stay wise, stay intentional, and keep building your best financial life.